I want to talk about something today that I think a lot more people are experiencing than they realize. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You finally get the break. Maybe the kids are gone for the weekend. Maybe you finally took that PTO, or miraculously, you actually slept 8 hours for once. And yet, you still feel tired. Not just physically tired, but that heaviness, fogginess, almost like your body has rested, but you didn't. If you know what I'm talking about, if you can relate, I really want you to hear me on this. One of the biggest lies we've been sold is that all exhaustion is the same. It's not. And if you keep treating every kind of exhaustion like sleep debt, you're going to keep feeling frustrated when resting doesn't work. So here's the thing. I don't immediately assume that you need more sleep. I see this all the time with the women I coach. Especially the highly ambitious will do whatever it takes to get it done ones. The ones that everyone relies on, depends on, the ones who are wildly capable, right? The people where others think, I don't know how she does it. You know what's interesting? The women closest to burnout are often the ones receiving the most praise. The ones who appear to have it all together. From the outside, they look incredible. They show up when others won't. Productive, reliable, successful, holding it all together, seemingly effortlessly. But if you sat across them for about 5 minutes and truly allowed them the space to lay their armor down just a little, you'd hear something different. You'd hear, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I feel this way. I have everything I have always wanted. And I think this distinction matters. Rest and recovery are not the same thing. You can be off the clock and still carrying everything from your shift. You can be sitting on the couch while your mind is running a marathon. You can be on vacation while mentally managing 10 people's needs. So yes, your body may be still, but stillness does not equal restoration. I use something called my burnout zones to help people truly understand this on a deeper level. Because burnout doesn't happen overnight. People don't go from thriving to completely burned out in a week. It just doesn't happen. It happens slowly, quietly. So first, you're in what I call the green zone. You feel connected to yourself. You have the capacity. Your yes actually feels like a yes, and your no feels like a no. But then life gets full, seasons change, and without knowing it, you shift into the yellow zone. And this is where so many ambitious women live. And truthfully, this is where burnout gets really sneaky. Because yellow doesn't always look bad. At first, it actually looks successful. Busy, needed, productive. But underneath it, if you are not careful, you're spending energy faster than you are restoring it. And then comes orange. And this is where I see people start saying things like, I'm fine. Or they tell themselves it's just a season, so they keep pushing forward. But by now, their body, patience, and relationships begin telling a very different story. They're more reactive, numb, resentful, less present. Joy starts feeling expensive, like something you have to earn, or something that is saved for a later date, or maybe something that isn't truly meant for them. Other people have that life, but I don't. And eventually, if nothing changes, you hit the red zone. Survival mode. By this point, nothing works. By this point, most people finally give themselves permission to rest, but they are already so deeply depleted that rest does absolutely nothing. And then we really start thinking something is wrong with us. So let's talk about why. Because sometimes you're not physically exhausted. What is actually happening is that you are mentally exhausted. There are too many tabs open, too many decisions to make, too much remembering, too much invisible labor. I like to think about mental exhaustion like internet browser tabs. You know what it's like when you have 40 tabs open on your screen? You're trying to access one of them, but all you get is that little doom scroll signal in the middle of your screen. Nothing actually moves forward. That is what so many women's brains are doing. And then you pile on emotional exhaustion. And this one hits different. Emotional exhaustion happens when you've been carrying things you haven't had space or time to properly process. Grief, pressure, caretaking, resentment, disappointment, fear, past experiences. Sometimes the reason you feel tired isn't because you're doing too much. You are tired because you are carrying too much. And if all of that isn't enough, there's one more type of exhaustion I don't think is ever talked about. Access exhaustion. This is the exhaustion that comes from everyone having access to you. Your phone, your inbox, your texts, your DMs, your kids, your coworkers, everyone need something and everyone gets a piece. And slowly you stop having access to yourself. You no longer have access because it truly feels like you have nothing left to give. At this point, you no longer recognize the person in the mirror. This is what I want you to hear. Burnout isn't actually about doing too much. It's about being too available. I had a client tell me recently, I took a weekend away, Alana, and I still came back exhausted. And as we continued talking, it became so clear. She had physically left, but mentally, she never stopped. She was still anticipating, still planning, still managing. Her body left, but her internal world did not. And I wonder, how many of you are doing that too? Now here's the good news. Once you can see the pattern, you can change the pattern. And that matters because burnout is not a life sentence, my friend. And chances are you are wanting and needing some change in your life. You do not need to keep living on autopilot. So I want to help you create a small interruption in that daily grind you find yourself in. It's something very simple. This is an extension from my Elevate Your Frequency workbook, and I call it the 5-minute morning energy audit. I want you to try it for 3 mornings, just 3, doesn't need to be consecutive, any 3 that fits you and your schedule. But promise me, you will try it for 3 mornings. Before you look at your phone, before you open your emails, before the world gets access to you, I want you to take 5 minutes and write 5 things. First, what deserves my energy today? Not your giant to-do list. What actually matters to you? Second, what kind of life do I want to build beyond survival mode? That question alone changes everything because survival mode makes your world very small. So what kind of life do you want to build beyond survival mode? Third, what do I need to hear today? Not a fluffy affirmation you don't believe. Something believable. Something grounding. You cannot BS your nervous system. So maybe it's, I do not need to earn my rest. Maybe it's, I can slow down and still be effective. And if your body isn't believing that, or your brain is saying it and you're like, right, still don't believe it, words matter. Instead of I do not need, which is very, very concrete, you could maybe say, I am working on not needing to earn my rest. That is the difference between a believable statement and an unbelievable statement. I am working on sits differently in your body. Okay? Or I am working on slowing down. Very different. Fourth, how do I want to move through today? Not what do I need to accomplish? No, because I know you're going to. I want to know, how do I want to feel while living it? It's very different. How do I want to move through today is different than what do I need to do today. So feeling, is it present? Is it calm, honest, grounded, peaceful? Set the intention of how you want to feel for the day. And finally, the fifth one, what drained me first today? And this one is gold. Because most people don't need more motivation. Guys, you don't need more motivation. You don't need more consistency. You need more awareness. You need to see and understand where your energy is actually going. So start naming it. What drains your energy first? You might not be able to answer that first thing in the morning, but leave that fifth question for later in the day to allow you to reflect on it. Here's what I know. You cannot sustainably build a life that matters to you while giving everything access to your energy. At some point, something has to give. And one of two things are going to happen. Either it happens by default, which is usually your health, or it happens by choice. You can choose what to close. Some tabs have to close. Maybe some expectations have to close. Maybe some patterns that are no longer serving you have to close. Not everything deserves unlimited access to you just because you're capable. That is not sustainable. Only the things that truly, and I mean truly, matter to you deserve that kind of access. If you're here and you've realized just how many mental tabs you've been carrying, how many mental tabs are open on a daily basis, my Elevate Your Frequency workbook will walk you through exactly how to identify these tabs, close some of them, and begin prioritizing what actually matters most to you in this season of life. If this hit something in you today, stick around, friend. We are just getting started.